And they argue that since the foreign powers of the non-Muslim countries, they say that they are doing their utmost to occupy Muslim lands. And since the Muslims have been subjected to war, and they are totally being suppressed in different parts of Islamic world, and because of this unjust aggression and oppression continuously being committed and performed by some Western powers, they say, because of this act, we are fully justified because the Muslim governments are not doing enough. They are not stopping them. The Muslim governments, according to them, seem to be their puppets. So they say that we are totally justified in adopting this path of terrorism. And whatever we are doing, maybe the land of USA, or the territory of Britain, or Europe, or Canada, or Western world, or Eastern world, and particularly now the Muslim countries too, even Pakistan. Whatever terroristic acts are being carried on, they say we are justified to do as a revenge. And this is our tactic. And then they give this whole phenomenon, then they give it the name of jihad. Now here, I would humbly, as a humble servant of Islam, and as a humble student of Islam, I would like to explain to them, I would like to advise to them, and I would like to explain for the whole mankind that this argument is totally false argument. This is against the basic teachings of Islam. Even if we accept the totality of their perception as correct, whatever they perceive and say, as well as the factual position on the ground is concerned, if we take all of the whole thing as a fact, reality, even then I am saying this argument is false and against the basic teachings of Quran and Sunnah. On this particular point, my concern is, I have to be very clear, my concern is to clarify the situation of Islam. My concern is to clarify the beautiful, shining face of Islam. My concern is to clarify and explain in a true sense the teachings of the Quran and Prophet of Islam. And whatever misunderstandings, wrong interpretations, hijacking of Islamic terms and Islamic teachings has taken place, I want to take Islam back from those who have already hijacked. Islam belongs to Quran, and Islam belongs to Prophet of Islam. So we will take as a teaching of Islam what Quran will communicate to us. We will accept the teaching of Islam, what Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has communicated and conveyed and commanded to us. So in this particular situation, even if this perception is taken as right and correct, even then Quran says, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem, La yajrimannakum shan'anu qawmin ala Allah ta'ala. The divine injunction on this particular point is that do not let the hatred of a people, even if they have committed some wrong to you, even if they have unjust behavior, and they have stopped you to perform right things, even if they have stopped you to reach the Kaaba of Allah for ibadah and worship. So even if they are committing wrongs, and you have been wronged. And that's why the genuine hatred is coming up in your hearts against them. So Quran says, in spite of this fact, do not let the hatred of a people prevent you from being fair and just. Even in this situation, Islam does not allow a Muslim individual or a Muslim nation as a whole to be unjust and unfair. Even in a revenge, the basic principle of Islam is la ta'tal. You can't transgress the limits. So, it is clearly stated that no group or no nation can be allowed to abandon justice and adopt oppression as a policy, as a revenge. You can't do oppression as a revenge to oppression. You can't do suppression as a revenge to suppression. You can't be unjust as a revenge to an unjust act. You can't be unfair as a revenge to an unfair act. This is why Holy Prophet ﷺ was raised for. And the basic principle which has been established through Quran and Sunnah is that massacre of peaceful people, those who are non-combatants, those who are not practically involved and those who are not practically participating in warfare, and they are not fighting in the battlefield, those who are not practically engaged in the warfare, so those are known as non-combatant, the civilian people. Whether they are living here in USA, doing their own jobs and works, in Twin Towers or other offices. Whether the Muslims, they are going to the mosque, praying and offering their Jummah sermon and offering Jummah prayer. Whether they are sitting in their embassies, wherever they are. All those people who are non-combatants. And non-combatants means those who are not practically engaged in a warfare, in a battlefield. They may belong to a state, to a country, who is at war with you. I am giving this with full responsibility, a jurisprudential basic principle of Islam, a juristic principle. Even they can belong to a country, they can be a member of a state, of a country, of a society, the country which is at war with you. When you are at war on some country, but some civilian people, those who are non-combatants, and those who are not engaged directly and practically in warfare in the battlefield. They are living in their houses, in their families, they are doing their jobs, they are going to the mosque, their churches, their synagogues. They are engaged in their own civil, personal, their own matter. They are peaceful civilians, and they are not the combatants. So Quran says, even in a warfare, you are not allowed to massacre the peaceful people, and you cannot commit any act of terrorism or any act of killing to those who are non-combatants. Keeping this aspect in our mind, since Islam does not allow the killing of peaceful people, they may be Muslims, they may be non-Muslims, and the life of both is equal. Killing, the criminal act of killing a non-Muslim is the same as the criminal act of killing a Muslim, non-combatant. So if the fundamental teachings of Islam demand this kind of character of a Muslim, that we are not allowed to kill the people, peaceful non-Muslims. Even during the warfare, we are not allowed to kill women. We are not allowed I am taking of the soldiers who are actively participating in warfare, in the battlefield. During warfare, when two countries are at war, even during war, Muslim soldiers, military personnel, they are not allowed to kill non-combatant women. They are not allowed to kill the children. They are not allowed to kill the priests and monks and worshippers in the churches and synagogues and temples. They are not allowed to kill the farmers. They are not allowed to kill the agriculturists. They are not allowed to kill the traders and business personnel. They are not allowed to kill the diplomats and ambassadors. They are not allowed to demolish the buildings and houses. They are not allowed to cut down the fruit-bearing trees. They are not allowed to create any destructive act in human populations. I am talking of during the warfare. If these kinds of acts are not allowed during warfare, then much less in times of peace. Then how these acts can be allowed in the time of peace? When innocent people busy in their own daily routine, their works, all of a sudden a suicide bomb comes, when a terroristic act takes the lives of hundreds and thousands and dozens of people. And giving this act the name of jihad is a very big misguidance and dalala. And this is a zulm, unjust thing, and categorical rebuttal of the teachings of Islam and Quran and Sunnah. Keeping this aspect in mind, now let us come to explain this concept first, and then we will come to the details of this thing. That unfortunately all these acts have been given or being wrongly given the name of jihad. So let me explain what jihad is and what is the basic difference between these kinds of terrorist acts or terrorism and Islamic concept of jihad. The concept of jihad has been misunderstood on both levels. At the level of the non-Muslims and the Western people, they are also not aware of the real concept of jihad. They have misunderstood it. And there is a long history of reasons of misunderstanding. And the Muslims are also misunderstood in this concept of jihad. Whenever the word jihad is used, automatically minds perceive the concept of fighting and killing and massacre. Let me explain number one by one. There is no sense of killing and fighting in the world of jihad itself. Jihad means just a struggle, striving for good cause, and that's it. In Quran, there are 35 verses revealed by Almighty Allah, 35 verses which contain the word or commandment of jihad expressly or in the different forms of derivatives. The word jihad is used in Quran in 35 verses. Now, it will be a very interesting point of many of our brothers and sisters that jihad does not mean killing or even does not mean fighting. Jihad has its meaning has a broad spectrum and multi-dimensional. It contains multi-dimensional meanings. It is applied for many good acts and good activities. For example, struggle, spiritual struggle for self-purification, cleansing of your heart and soul from evil wishes, from lust, from bad emotions, to improve your moral, ethical and spiritual situation of your inner self. Cleansing, spiritual cleansing of inner self, and getting rid of bad pressures of your lower self, so that you may become a good moral actor, a good spiritual actor, a good ethical actor. So this struggle is known as jihad.